Hello, folks. Everything new under the sun. Taking a look at end time Bible prophecy, and the headline that is in my head right now about all the world events is that the evil is being revealed, the corruption across the world is being revealed. I'm going to take a look at a couple of headlines, and we're just going to look at the headlines. Not going to go too deep into them, but I think in every location all around the world, you see corruption being unveiled. And the book of Daniel speaks about this. I think you can connect it to it. Daniel chapter 12, verse 4 says, "But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end, for many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased." Now, part of that is technology, knowledge of medicine, knowledge of science. But I think there's also likely a vector of knowledge of the Christian in terms of end-time Bible prophecy. Our eyes will be opened as we get into the last days. It will be obvious to us. The evil will be revealed. And to a certain point, that is God's intended purposes for the times that we are put in, to make us get off offense, to make us make a decision for Christ or not for Christ. Just like prior to the flood of Noah, people had to in some way declare, are they for the Lord or not? Do they have faith or not? And so the crises that are coming up, the massive world events are really forcing people to the Lord or away from the Lord, and that's their choice. But it's this veil being lifted of the evil that surrounds us. And when people are pushed off the fence, you then can see the fruit. You then can see the evil. 2 Timothy chapter 3 says, "But understand this, that in the last days there will come times of difficulty. For people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient." I could sit there and dwell on each of these. Just look at each of those sets of words and dwell on whether or not you see that in the last days. Disobedient to parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having the appearance of godliness, but denying its power. And do you see a lot of people with religion, with quote-unquote faith? Absolutely. You see a lot of religious and spiritual quote-unquote people. What does the Bible say about it? It says avoid all the people with these traits. Because, they are not following the Lord. They are not people of the book. Matthew chapter 24 says this in verse 3. "And as he sat on the Mount of Olives, his disciples came to him, saying, 'Tell us, when will these things be? What will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?' And Jesus answered, 'See that no one leads you astray, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and they will lead many astray. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. So see that you not be alarmed, for this must take place. The end is not yet.'" Wars, rumors of wars. I believe these wars and rumors of wars come prior to the 7-year period. And the end is not yet, because the end is not going to be for another 7 years. "For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines, earthquakes in various places. All these are but the beginnings of birth pains. But they will deliver you up to tribulations." We should accept some amount of tribulation. Some people will experience death, just as the disciples did, and many faithful and many believers throughout the history of mankind. "You will be hated by all nations for my name's sake, and then many will fall away and betray one another. Many false prophets will arise. And then, because lawlessness will be increased, the love of many will grow cold." Evil will be exposed. People will see it. They will lose heart. They will recognize that not everybody is inherently loving and all this kind of stuff that people, in terms of how people explain away others. And, oh, he didn't mean that. Everybody's inherently loving and kind and all this kind of stuff. We are inherently evil. From birth, we the sin in the world that came in through Adam is with us. And so lawlessness increases in the last days. Are we seeing lawlessness? There was a story that Runkle of the Bailey, Canadian firearms lawyer, did today about a reporter from Rebel News who was arrested for no reason. And you just take a look at the corruption. And, what were the police, the RCMP in this case, what were they doing there? They let him go after, I think, a few hours or whatever, no charges. But they arrested him because he was trying to interview the Vice Prime Minister, Chrystia Freeland. And he didn't touch her, to my understanding, but they arrested him. And what does that do? Well, he is off now. He was released. They will likely sue the government. That takes a lot of money, so that's going to put a damper on things. He is going to have to go through court cases. That puts a damper on his reporting. It puts a damper on the free press, because who is going to want to get arrested at this point? Who is going to want to go through that to be a reporter? No one. So it puts a chilling effect on the free press. And is that ultimately their goal? The police, the RCMP, whomever this was in this case, is this the goal of the government? Folks, you have to understand that at this point in time, it looks like we are moving quickly to a socialist government. We already are a socialist country of sorts. We have many social systems, and that's ultimately what that means. And ultimately, in terms of equity and universal basic income, we're moving to this idea of a communist society where money is spread out to everybody, so-called evenly. But if you go look at communist societies, North Korea and Russia in the USSR days, etc., there's no such thing as money being evenly distributed. You may get enough money to buy some groceries, but there are bribes. There's all sorts of theft and fraud in the system that comes out of that sort of situation. So, folks, I think the veil is being lifted. We are starting to see it. And let's take a look at a few headlines that indicate this. This is out of Scotland. Scottish parents who refuse to let their kids go trans could face 7 years in prison. This is where the world is going. We're seeing the evil come out. They're making laws about it. And if you are of things that are true and are righteous, you will be going to jail. You will be persecuted because you believe in something different. It's absolutely incredible. This is in Scotland. The next step is North America, and Canada is going very, very quickly the way of Scotland and Britain and all those other European nations that, that people thought were free for a long time. Folks, they are no longer free. If you live there, now may be the time to try and get out. I live in Canada, and honestly, I don't know what I will do. I don't know how much farther I can get away. I think the U.S. is going the same way Canada is ultimately. Let's take a look at this. You're the epitome of white privilege. Chaos ensues after Hunter Biden crashes contempt hearings. I don't know if you watched the videos of this today, but Hunter Biden, one of these, the evil and lawlessness and bribery and fraud involved in this. This was portrayed by the government in the beginning to be a great Russian hoax. Come to find out, no, it's all true. But there was a massive mainstream media cover-up and narrative that tried to push this down under. The truth always comes out, but it often comes out after years and years of hardship and pain and destruction to society that is irreversible. Look at the pandemic. Look at the destruction of faith and trust in the medical system, in the doctors, and in the idea that the government was going to tell you the truth about things. The government is not going to tell you the truth about things. The government is going to tell you what it wants you to know, so that it ultimately can control the narrative and control you, because they don't want civil unrest. They're worried about the continuity of government. So if there is a real emergency, you're not going to find out about it first. Poland's obstruction in Nord Stream. So this whole Nord Stream thing, and people were questioning it from the beginning. What was the American mainstream news? Well, this was Russia blowing up their own pipeline. Are you kidding me? Did anyone believe that Russia blew up their own pipeline? I was trying to figure out how that could possibly be true. 4D chess move, whatever it may be. It's ridiculous that they would blow up their own pipeline, even if it was some sort of chess move. It just doesn't make sense. It's not worth enough for them to blow it up. Now come to find out that Poland is obstructing the investigation. Apparently, the Polish land was used as a jumping point for some part of this activity. But the truth comes out. Years later, of course, folks, the truth comes out. And Russia was saying it from the beginning. So incredible. Let's take a look at this. Dr. Fauci about the pandemic. Oh, I don't recall. Over a ton of times being asked questions about the pandemic, the FDA, the Wuhan lab, and where the virus origins. I forget. I don't recall. And these people will not be held accountable ultimately. We are seeing the evil come out as the veil is lifted for those who believe. And for those who do not believe, the veil is getting more and more opaque. They're not able to see the truth anymore. It's incredible. Headline after headline today is just evil being uncovered. Ultimately, after years of the original events, finally it's coming out. But it's incredible. I'll end with this. This is Hal Lindsey. This is the Harbinger's Daily. And he says, you're not going out on a limb to say 2024 may be a year of black swan event. Any year might have such an event, but she's right that the United States, he's referring to a person prior, is particularly vulnerable right now. It is deeply divided. So civil war is what I think about there when I see that, deeply divided. Its military has been weakened by poorly directed spending, woke political considerations. Again, we're seeing the unveiling of the evil in society and the results of our sin and our waywardness, and that we have not followed God. Enemies have new tools with which to harm us. Also, the rage against America has grown substantially in the last few years. The hand of protection of the Lord, because maybe we were following them as nations at one point, is being removed. And the people are coming up against us now all over the world. Heightened rage often brings with it increase in the enemy's determination, perseverance, and in the cruelty of their tactics. Again, the evil is on display. You talk about October 7th, the pure evil that was on display there, killing women and children. And they've been doing this all throughout the centuries. We like to whitewash history a little bit. We don't like to think about the ugliness and the evil, but we are seeing that in the last days as Satan has more and more reign, more and more control in this world because fewer and fewer people are shining the light of the Lord, of Jesus. And so we see this evil coming out. You see it as well with the Miami Mall, the two dark giants, the Nephilim. I believe, I don't know if that story is true. It seems like it was a hoax after all, but something happened there. And I believe L.A. Marzulli when he suggests that, the Nephilim will come again, and they likely are here. We just can't see them. Satan's not ready to reveal his person yet and his demons. The demons don't want to be revealed. Why? Because the revealing of demons to the general population would turn people to Christ, to Jesus. They would start saying, maybe the Bible is true. Satan doesn't want that, so he's going to hide them at all costs for as long as possible, while giving them full reign in the background, under the veil of darkness and whatever, invisibility, whatever, to do their damage to people and to stir up trouble amongst people and across the nations and create wars. Satan just wants to kill as many people as possible. But yeah, he's not going to reveal all the demons and devils and all these spiritual beings, because again, that would prove the Bible. So he's not going to do that. So Hal Lindsey goes on. But the greatest danger facing America is its arrogant dismissal of God, whose blessing it daily squanders. Vast portions of the population spend their blessings from God on activities that demean humanity and exalt evil. So the blessings of abundance, they spend on abortion and pornography and these other things. And it's all across us. We're like Lot living in Sodom and Gomorrah. Lot wasn't perfect, but he had faith. And so we are amongst all of this, and it's hard to get out of it and get rid of it. But we have faith in Jesus, and I thank the Lord Jesus Christ for his death on the cross for my sin that I've committed in my life, and he died on the cross and paid for your sin as well. If you're not saved, friend, brother, sister, if you're not saved, now is the time. Today is a day of salvation. Find Jesus now, because times are going to get hard, folks. Hal Lindsey says, in this, the U.S. is joined by the most of the world at a time when human race should be humbled before an unprecedented potential for destruction. Nations arrogantly spit in God's face at every opportunity. You need to find Jesus, folks. The times will come when a time will come when we don't have the opportunity any longer. God will cut it off. When that door is shut on the Ark of Noah, that was it. People didn't have an opportunity. Prior to that, people had an opportunity to turn to faith. But how many did? Basically, no one. Just Noah's family, his kids and the kids' spouses. That's all that found Jesus, even though they were confronted with the reality of the rain, which they had never seen before, which was a supernatural event to them because they had never seen rain. It had only ever dewed. There was only ever dew that came up from the ground. They never saw rain falling out of the sky. Even with that supernatural, unprecedented event, what did they do? They called it climate change. They probably blamed each other for it and did not repent to God. So, climate change happened, and they passed it off as not a supernatural thing coming from God or judgment, but of something maybe that they could have done better, and they all died in their sin. Don't do that, folks. Recognize all the change that's happening, all the fraud, all the evil that is being unveiled. Recognize it as what the Bible foretold and said and has given an example of. As in the days of Noah, so shall the coming of the Son of Man be. Evil in the hearts of men continually. This is what we see. Be prepared, folks.